spooky friends. I'm Margaret.
I'm Colleen.
And we're the Cousins Weird.
Yay!
And we're virtual because we're in different parts of New York State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in, the southern tier is what they call it, in the Finger Lakes with my sister, doing some spooky stuff. I couldn't even, I went out of town. We're having our Hocus Pocus Witchy weekend this weekend, and Colleen couldn't come because her parents both had COVID, and it's been a scary week for her, 2 weeks. And I came down here and found out last night I have a UTI, so I'm on antibiotics. I can't even drink. We went to wineries, can't have wine. So I'm just this turned out to be a kind of a bummer weekend.
Last year when I went down for our Halloweeny weekend, remember I had COVID. So yeah. Mine was a bummer too. So I don't think I'm allowed to go see Renee. I think something always happens.
My God. No, I think it wasn't our girls' weekend in November because we recorded.
Yeah, I had COVID November.
I recorded the Roanoke one, which was before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the fall. Can't visit Renee in the fall.
No. We get sick. People all around us get sick. It's just been crazy. It's been a crazy week, and my dad's still not feeling great, so that kind of stinks. But we're hoping he gets better. He's last night when I got him a heating, misting, humidifier thing, a warm one because of the phlegm and mucus he's got. I know no one wants to hear about phlegm and mucus, but I'm hoping that will help loosen up some of that. That's having issues, so we'll see. But he's been sleeping, and that's what he needs, so that's good.
That is good.
Mm-hmm. He hadn't been able to before that, because COVID makes you... I know when I had COVID the 3 times, I couldn't sleep with it. Couldn't sleep.
I could sleep and never get up.
Oh, see, I couldn't. I had insomnia. I
just wanted to sleep all day when I had it.
Oh, I wanted to. I was very tired, but I couldn't do it. I kept waking up. It's very odd, but...
We did watch the new Hocus Pocus movie. It was pretty good.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to make Richard watch it with me tonight. I was saving it for our weekend.
Know. The end is a kind of a twist, you don't expect it, and it's cool. It's very nice. I like the end.
Good.
I was
I'm excited.
Aww. Yeah, it's good. We also watched Practical Magic, which is our other family-friendly
I love that
Halloween movie. I need to go watch The Craft, because that's from my teenage years.
Yeah.
Obsessed. We were totally obsessed with The Craft.
I have a pin on my jean jacket that says, we're the weirdos, mister. What does it say? What do they say? Okay, I may have taken a couple puffs off my bubbler 45 minutes ago. And I didn't know Margaret was going to be ready. So I can't think. So this should be fun.
You'll be fun though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not like me when I did it and I needed to sleep for 4 hours. All right, are we ready to get into this episode?
I'm ready.
So Colleen did her Satanic Panic episode, and I'm what am I going to do this Halloween-y? I'm ooh, werewolves.
I love werewolves.
This turned into, it actually predates your Satanic Panic, because this is the witch and the werewolf panic of Europe from the 14th, 15th, 16th century.
Oh, I love it.
No, the 1400s, the 1500s, the 1600s. Right. Yes, it's the OG Satanic Panic.
I love it.
And it happened around the same time as the witch trials. It actually predated the witch trials of the United States.
Okay.
So we're going to do a little history of lycanthropy, which is my favorite way to say a werewolf.
I know, isn't it a fun word?
Yes. In the 15th through the 17th centuries, Europe was busy finding, convicting, and executing werewolves.
Of course.
Unlike witchcraft, this was something that afflicted mostly men, although there were some women accused. But unlike witchcraft was mostly women with some men, the werewolf accusations were mostly men with some women. Okay. So it was the opposite. This is the men get this one.
Men were getting. Well, it's about time men got something.
I got a lot of information from the internet. There was one book, and it's kind of the OG book on werewolfism by Sabine Baring Gould, and Sabine being a man from the 1800s. It was published June of 1865. This dude wrote a whole book on the history of werewolves and how to detect werewolves now. And how he wrote this book in seriousness. He was a reverend, and he wrote it book on dinosaurs, but he wrote it on werewolves.
Oh.
Like how they are real, but they've died out. There's no
they're
more
extinct
around
now. And
just because you didn't
unicorn.
find any evidence of a werewolf doesn't mean you can't find, like, you didn't find any bones of a werewolf doesn't mean you can't find the evidence that they were here.
Gotcha. Like a unicorn.
This whole book, very much. Some of the first accounts of lycanthropy are ancient religious texts, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is dated 2100 BCE, Mesopotamia. It's the second oldest religious text that they have ever found. And in this poem that consisted of 12 tablets, it was written on a series of 12 tablets. The hero, I'm using hero in quotation marks, he dismisses a goddess lover because he learned that she had turned a previous lover into a wolf. So this, like, in this tale, that's part of the tale. And in Greek mythology, King Lycaon, Lycaon, you see where I'm going here, of Arcadia, he roasted up his own son and fed him to Zeus to test to see if he really was all-knowing. Like, could he tell he was eating the flesh of a person? Like,
he killed it. He cooked his own son up.
They did not hold back. And fed him to Zeus.
Oh, my God.
And as punishment, Zeus is like, how dare you test me? Like, I'm God, and you're trying to test to see if I'm really as all-knowing as I say I am? How dare you? He turned him and his remaining sons into wolves. And that's where the term lycanthropy came from, because it's King Lycaon.
Gotcha.
Right? In Nordic folklore, the saga of Volsungs, a man and his son found magic wolf pelts that could change them, or change whoever wore them, into a wolf for 10 days. So that's like in their mythology. So yeah. Right. But they basically, this man and his son, they put the wolf pelts on and they basically terrorized a village for 10 days and killed people.
Jeez.
And I don't know if they did it because I don't know if it doesn't really say whether they knew that they were doing it or if it's just because they turned into wolves and that's what wolves do.
Oh, gotcha.
We're going back to Europe, the 15th century. Most of the people in the European werewolf panic that were accused of werewolfism were possible pedophiles or serial murderers. They could have been, but most were poor, uneducated villagers or immigrants who were horribly tortured to get confessions. Because most of these all confessed, but they didn't confess of their own volition. And some of these occasionally they were wealthy landowners, and it's like, were you accused because the dude that's the head got your land when you died? Probably.
Right.
Because that was common then too.
Yeah.
So in the 1400s, it was believed that witches could take the form of a wolf. And according to lore, the transformation of a human into a wolf was accomplished by the use of ointments, amulets, or other cursed artifacts like a wolf pelt or a piece of leather or weird belts. Or it was psychosomatic, where the person suffered from delusions of being a wolf. So like they're either under a curse or they have a cursed artifact or they're just crazy.
They're not.
And a lot of times there is it's a lycanthropy curse that people actually think they're turning into a wolf and they'll behave like a dog and they'll run around on all fours and things like that. Oh. But that's more of a psychosomatic thing.
Right.
It actually has a name too.
Like a disorder of sorts.
Right. How to tell if someone is a werewolf? There are things to do to tell. Yeah.
Can't wait to find out.
Excess body hair. Specifically, a unibrow is a huge telltale sign.
Griffin, my son, has a unibrow.
Yeah, there may be hair under their skin. And how to tell this, like they said, werewolves will grow hair underneath their skin. And how to tell that is you'd have to cut them and see if hair came out of the cut.
Ew.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever happened where you cut someone. Like, did they ever find anybody?
I saw a Dr. Pimple Popper episode, and they had a cyst by their scalp, and they cut it in hair, and then you have those Vesuvius hairs or something that come out of those
follicular. Yeah, the ingrown hair, so you can pull out a little pocket of hair. Like, it usually happens with men on their face.
Yeah. So technically, I guess you could, but I don't think that's going on all over the place.
No. They heal very fast. Their eyes are an unusual color or shape. Some say they have wolf-shaped eyes, like almond eyes, or they have eyes that are like an amber color. And that happens. So if you're like happen to be born with beautiful amber eyes, they would think you're a wolf and they would kill you.
Great.
So it's probably why there aren't many people with eyes that color, because they were all killed in the 14th century in Europe.
Didn't get to pass that down.
Somebody that has or wears a special belt made from wolf skin with fur on it, like if they have, see my beautiful wolf belt, it's probably they're a werewolf and they use it to turn into a werewolf.
Of course.
They run like a wolf, long loping strides. They don't like silver. They recoil from silver. They don't want to touch it.
Bullet.
They have curved fingernails and low set ears, or their ears are lower on their head.
Makes sense. Yeah.
This is what they said. They said that a werewolf looks like a regular wolf except for a lack of a tail, and that they run on 3 legs and extend their back leg to look like a tail while they're running.
Because they're worried that they don't have a tail.
How ridiculous is that?
So they got to stick their back leg out.
I got to pretend I have a tail and I'll stick my back leg out while I'm running through the woods with my leg. Nobody's going to tell that's a leg. Is it dumb?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay. They are slightly larger than a regular wolf and are said to retain their human eyes and voice in wolf form. Oh. That's creepy.
I don't like
when they're
human animal things. So.
No. So like they say a human who has wolf eyes is a wolf, but they keep their human eyes when they become a wolf, so it wouldn't look any different then, right? According to their logic.
Right.
Right?
Doesn't make much sense, really.
After regaining their human forms, they will be very tired and possibly act nervous or depressed. And werewolves also like to eat the recently buried. So,
ew.
You're in the graveyard and there's a recent grave, and you see a werewolf digging it up to eat the decomposing body. They're a werewolf. It's not a real wolf. Gross.
I mean, real wolves would do that. I mean, I'm sure any animal might dig up a body if it's just thrown in a. Like back then, they weren't like sealed.
Yes, especially if they didn't dig very deep. They just kind of threw some dirt on top. They're gonna dig that up. Dogs can smell everything. Yeah, and they're gonna roll in it because we all know that dogs like to roll around in.
Oh, that smells terrible. Let me roll in it.
I love it. Now, if you would like to become a werewolf, there are some of the ways that you can accomplish it. Okay. You can get a special wolf skin or belt made from a wolf and take off all of your clothes and put the belt on. And then you can become a wolf that way.
Awesome. Real easy.
Yay. You could also get your hands on some magic flying ointment and rub it on yourself. Ooh. And flying ointment was used by witches, and it contained toxic substances for their hallucinogenic effects. So flying ointment is something that's mentioned in the Malleus Maleficarum. You know, it's like something witches use, but it's also something that werewolves use. You know?
Of course they do.
According to Francis Bacon, Francis Bacon, the ingredients included the fat of children digged out of their graves. Nice. The juices of smallage, wolfsbane, and cinquefoil mixed with wheat meal. Some actual herbs that were used in flying ointment would be belladonna, henbane, jimson weed, mandrake, and hemlock. And this would cause the witch, they called it flying ointment because it created like a change within them. Like they would hallucinate and go on like a spirit journey, basically. Right. But I'm pretty sure they didn't use the fat of children digged out of their graves.
No, I don't think they did.
They
can't drink belladonna and hemlock.
They put it on it. They made an ointment of it.
Topically?
Put it on their skin.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right. So they're getting like LSD type of, it's like an absorb into my bloodstream through my skin. Right. Start flying through the sky.
Sounds like a good time.
Lucy in the sky with diamonds, right?
Right.
You could also drink rainwater out of the footprint of a wolf
Oh, yeah.
Or an enchanted stream. And then if you find an enchanted stream and you drink the water of it, you can become a wolf. But if you find a wolf print with rainwater in it and you drink that water, then you can become a werewolf. Because, you know.
I want to know, how do you know a stream is enchanted? How do you?
I know. I don't know.
I want to find one.
As we digress, there's a lot of folklore regarding werewolfism and how people become a werewolf. And it really depends on the time, like the century or whatever, and the location. Some places, all that needed to be done was drink some beer and say a certain incantation, and you could become a werewolf. Like, that's all you need to do is drink a bunch of beer and then say this incantation. In France and Germany, it was thought that
would be a werewolf then. So many people.
I know, really? Accidentally. Mm-hmm. In France and Germany, it was thought that someone could step outside on a specific Wednesday or Friday in the summer on a summer night with a full moon shining directly on your face, and you could become a werewolf just by that.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Sleep out with the moon shining on your face on a Wednesday or a Friday night in the summer.
It has to be Wednesday or Friday.
The full moon shining directly on your face, that's what makes you become a werewolf on a Wednesday or a Friday night.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it next summer. See how that goes for me.
Or you could just make a pact with Satan. That does it too.
Well, of course. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
And, you know, there's always like the more modern theory of you get bit by a werewolf and then that's how you become a werewolf. You know, it's like you're cursed.
I mean, if you're going to become a werewolf, that's the way I think would work best.
In Hungary, it was believed that parents who abused their babies would cause them to become a werewolf as they grew older.
So the babies would become werewolves?
Yes. If the parents abused their child when they were a baby, when they grew up, they would be a werewolf.
Well, I hope their babies ate them for abusing them.
Right. And maybe it's a way to get the people to not abuse their children.
Maybe.
Like, yeah.
They'll come back and eat you.
Not only when they're babies. Once they're like not babies, then you can smack them around, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, when they're, 7, go for it.
Right. The man to wolf transformation could be temporary or permanent. It could be his spirit that transforms, or he could have a wolf familiar. So like, it's like the man could actually become the wolf, and he could become the wolf and go back to be a man, or maybe he becomes a wolf forever. Maybe it's only his spirit that becomes a wolf is running around, the man's spirit. So or it could be his familiar, like it's his pet, like a witch, you know.
Okay.
In the case of familiars, if you injure the wolf, you also injure the man. So if it's the wolf is a man's familiar, and in a lot of the cases, people were convicted because the townspeople would be hunting the wolf in the woods and they would stab it and it would run off. And then the next day, your neighbor has a shoulder wound, whether it's a kick from a horse or a scratch. Oh my God, it's him. It's the wolf.
Yeah, he's the wolf.
It could be in the wrong spot, but it could be just like
if they have a boo-boo at all.
Oh my God, which is crazy. The cure for lycanthropy, like this is, if you have it, here's how you cure it. All right. Yep. In ancient Greece or Rome, they thought the way to cure someone of lycanthropy was through physical exhaustion. So if you thought someone was a wolf, you basically made them do exercises until they like died from exhaustion. You had to have them exercise until they couldn't move. I would die. This would kill me.
Dehydrate the shit out of them. That's how you do it.
Right. It's like they made him stay up night after night exercising without stop, you know? That's no, you can't stop. You're a wolf. We got to get it out of you. We got to exercise the wolf right out of you.
Till they're dead?
What?
How do they know that the wolf is
out? I don't
know.
Crazy. That's what they thought. In medieval Europe, the cure could be accomplished through medicine, drinking wolfsbane, or other toxic plants that would most likely kill you anyway.
Oh, well, yeah.
Surgically, they didn't discuss what the surgically is. Like, how do you surgically remove werewolfism from somebody?
I don't know. What are you taking out?
I don't know. Let's just cut you open and see if you have a wolf.
Well, there's no wolf in there, but they're dead, so.
Yeah. Or by a good old-fashioned exorcism. That works every time, you know. But puking pea soup and getting the wolf out. Mm-hmm. Striking the werewolf on the forehead or scalp with a knife, or you could pierce its hands with nails, That's another way to get it out of somebody.
That's horrible.
Let me smash you in the forehead.
I mean,
and then
do something.
Like drive knives into your hands, and then we'll see. Then you'll be cured. Yeah, that'll be great.
You'll also probably die, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'll have a concussion and septic shock from the nails in my hands.
Exactly.
There was a German belief that all you need to do is call them by their real name 3 times, and then they would become person. Yep. That's all you had to do.
If you called the wolf by the 3 names. By
the human name 3 times.
Okay. So I'd be like, Margaret, Margaret, and you'd pop right out. I'm like, it's me.
Yep. Oh, it's me. I'm not a wolf anymore. Woohoo, I'm cured.
That's the best
The Danish people... Yeah, the Danish people thought that you could cure werewolves simply by scolding them. Bad dog. That's what I thought. I wrote that because it made me laugh. I'm like, you should scold the werewolf. And then they'll not the werewolf. I'm like, bad dog, you're bad.
And they're like, oh, I'm a person now.
Oh, it's me. You could also just convert to Christianity, and then you won't be a werewolf anymore.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's
a devotion to this. Devotion to Saint Hubert could protect you and cure you of lycanthropy. I don't know who Saint Hubert is. I meant to look it up, and I did not. It was also believed that those suspected of being werewolves could return to life after death in the form of a wolf if their corpse wasn't completely destroyed.
So you had to burn them right up.
Right. They would return to the battlefields to drink the blood of fallen soldiers. That's what they like to do.
That's not so bad. The soldiers are dead.
I know, really. They might not be dead. Right. If someone died in, quotation marks, mortal sin, they would come back to their own corpse in the form of a wolf. They would have to be decapitated with a spade and their head thrown into a stream to sink with the weight of their sin. This is how you kill them. Yeah, if somebody died in mortal sin, you would basically wait at their grave for a wolf to show up because they're obviously going to be turned into a werewolf. And then you'd have to kill them with a spade and then throw their head into the stream. And that's how they cure. Yeah.
What's more? Or you could just they haven't been baptized or something. What does that mean?
They died in mortal sin. It's probably like maybe having sex out of wedlock, or
just like doing having sex with sin.
Yeah, like a mortal sin. Like you died and you hadn't. Maybe if you died and you hadn't had confession, that might be it too.
Or you weren't baptized.
Because this is back when they were still Catholic in Europe, mostly. Or you could nail or stake them into their coffin like you would a vampire, because that worked too.
Okay.
So you thought someone was a werewolf, you could just like pound a stake through them in their coffin, and that'll keep them right there.
Makes sense.
The start of the werewolf trials that swept through Europe started in the 1400s in Switzerland as part of the witch trials there. They blamed everything from infertility to impotence to crop failures on witches, and that they could turn themselves into wolves and kill livestock. So it was an offshoot of witchcraft, because like anything bad that was happening in this village, it was a witch's fault. But some witches could turn into werewolves, or turn themselves into wolves. So that's how it kind of started. Those convicted were burned at the stake, and all of their lands and property went to the local vassal of the king.
Oh, of course it did. Makes sense.
Yeah, because, that totally wasn't... assholes. That's not why they were convicted, though, Colin.
No.
They were actually...
They were really werewolves. Yes.
I did an episode on witchcraft and the trials that swept through Europe, too, in a year ago for our Halloween month last year. So if you're interested, you can look up that. There's a little more on that there. I think I do touch on werewolves a little bit in that episode, but it's more to do with the witchcraft aspect of it. From there, the fever went to France, and in 1521, a wolf attack led to the arrest of a man named Michael Verdun on an accusation of being a werewolf. The first ever recorded instance of accused lycanthropy. This was the first time they found an actual paper trail of someone being accused of being a werewolf.
Gotcha.
Was this man? Yep. After his arrest, he was tortured into confessing, and he also accused 2 men by the name of Pierre Bourgault and Philbert Monteau of also being werewolves as well as him. And they also were tortured until they confessed. So it's like, okay, fun. These men confessed to making a deal with 3 men dressed in black. They agreed to protect Bourgault, his sheep anyway, if they would renounce God. They're like, listen, we'll protect your sheep for you from wolves and stuff, but you have to renounce God and worship the devil.
Oh, of course.
Basically, they were also given an ointment that turned them into wolves if they put it on their bodies. Fine ointment here. They attended midnight gatherings with other witches and hunted and ate children.
Oh.
I'm like, QAnon, huh? They were all found guilty and burned at the stake. The only way to kill a werewolf and have them stay dead was to burn them at the stake. So, Okay, now we're going to 1573. A man by the name of Giles Garnier. He was known as the Werewolf of Dole. And he was accused of lycanthropy and confessed under torture.
Well, yeah.
To using an ointment to turn into a wolf. He admitted to killing 4 children and fed them to his family on a Friday. So it wasn't just that he killed children, he also fed them to his family on a Friday. So that's a sin in itself, eating meat on Friday.
Yeah. He not only
killed
children and ate them, he ate them on a Friday and had his family do it too, you big sinner.
I know. It's like one sin on top of another on top of another. It's awful.
I don't know which is worse.
Yeah. I don't, He was burned at the stake, even though he was poor and lived in the forest. And some of the children he claimed to have killed lived 60 kilometers away. So this poor man who has nothing, he has no horse, nothing. They're like, it's because probably he turned into a werewolf and ran. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect.
He ran fast. He was a wolf. So, Now we're going to talk about Peter Stubb. And this might be the most famous case of werewolfism in Europe that most people have heard about. He's called the Bedburg werewolf. He was a wealthy farmer in Germany and was caught by hunters who saw him turn from a wolf into a human.
Ooh.
So he was arrested and tortured until he admitted to being gifted with a special belt by the devil. Ew. So that he could turn into a wolf and kill and eat numerous people over a 25-year span. He was executed in 1859 by having his skin peeled off. His arms and legs were broken, and then he was beheaded and burned.
That's horrible.
Yes, this is why it's probably the most known. It's because they peeled off his skin while he was alive.
I'm rocking.
And then they broke his legs. I don't like it either.
After your skin peeled off, what's the difference? You do anything you want after that, you're probably passed out. Like, that's actually the worst thing ever.
God. That's the sound of like they tortured him before to get him to confess, and then your killing is actually going to be torture too. So it's like there's no end. Okay, so the grand judge of St. Claude, this is where the Werewolf of Dole was tried. His name was Henri Bouquet, and he was convinced, or Bouquet, it's Bouquet. So whatever that, however you say that. But, he was convinced that there were large groups of witches and werewolves in the community and ordered many arrests. And in 1598, he sentenced 17 people to death for supposed lycanthropy, just in that 1 year.
Oh.
And it should be noted that it was the church's position at this time that only God could transform humans and the devil could only perform illusions. Oh. So Boguet, it was Boguet. I spelled it wrong the first time. Bouguet. He insisted that the accused actions and delusions made them deserve their death sentences. So it's these people are witches and they're turning into werewolves. So the church goes, well, the devil can't make people turn into werewolves. Only God has that kind of power. And God would never do that. So,
Right.
oh, well, it's just an illusion, but because they have pacts with it, they still deserve to die. It's like, what?
Yeah. Any justification
Seriously.
they have.
Awful.
Ridiculous.
The medieval view at this time was that confessed werewolves suffered from melancholia, which made them susceptible to delusions and mania, and that the devil could easily alter their humors to cause these symptoms. So we talked a little bit in our terrible trends about the 4 humors of the body, and that the devil he's powerful, I guess. He can alter a human's humors. And cause symptoms of werewolfism. The trials would continue into the 17th century, but as people became more educated, these trials became less frequent because people are like, yeah, I don't think that's right. They're like, this is not true. They're trying to, they're deducing, like, I don't think that really happens. Like, people are becoming a little more worldly. And honestly, in the later years, most of the trials happened in really small rural areas where people were poorer and less educated. In Sweden, in 1692, a man named Theis, Theiss.
Okay.
He was 80 years old. He came to court. 80, yes. He came to court claiming to be a werewolf. He said he had been to hell multiple times in a year to battle witches and ensure a good harvest. The court laughed at him, but they convicted him of practicing folk magic, which earned him a flogging and banishment from town.
Okay, they laughed at him first, then
like, you're an idiot, full of crap. But you're practicing magic, and that's against the law. So here you go. We're gonna flog you and tell you never to come back. Goodbye. It's like, he needed help, not banishment. Right. Dude probably died, According to a book by Pierre de Linktr.ee.
Oh, that's fancy.
Pierre de Linktr.ee.
Yeah, de Linktr.ee.
It was written in 1611. Yeah, this man wrote, and this was in the year 1611, that in France between 1520 and 1630, try to figure those dates out. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? It was written in 1611, and it was between those 2 dates. It was estimated that 30,000 people were executed as werewolves, and it actually was probably more close to a few hundred to under 1,000. But according to what this man stated, that 30,000 people were executed as werewolves. It was probably more accused, but not everybody that was accused was executed. So it really depended on where you were and how friendly the courts were, I guess.
Or how greedy, what you had to offer them if they killed you, I guess.
Right. In 1725, in a German forest, a young boy was found naked and wandering around. He's walking around on all fours. He was using his hands and his feet to walk. He was wild and mute, and many people thought he was raised by wolves or he was a werewolf. And this is in 1725, so this is like after the stop of the trials. But he was brought to the British King George I, who was visiting. This is German, and he was a German descendant. And he ended up taking him back to England and treating him as a pet. That's what you do when you find naked little boys wandering around and the wolves acting strange, is you take them home and you make them your pet.
That's disgusting.
Yep. He was named Peter the Wild Boy, and he never learned to speak or to become civilized, and he slept on the floor and used his hands and arms as front legs. He was eventually willed to King George II, and this man died in 1785. Terrible. Yeah. It is speculated that he suffered from Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, and it's a neurological disorder that causes seizures and learning disabilities, and also a lack of ability for speech and distinct facial features. So, and if you look up, I shared on our group page, our reference page anyway, pictures, like paintings of this man, and he definitely had an odd look to him, but it's probably because he had this syndrome. So like people are treating him like, oh, he was raised by wolves. He probably had seizures and had brain damage,
Right.
But I mean, he lived till he was 60 when he died. So at the time, that's not a short life.
No,
he was in his 60s.
Sad that they treated him like an animal.
You don't treat people like pets.
No.
The most likely causes of werewolfism now, as a modern person looking back, hypertrichosis, which is what, like the wolf boy in the circus, people that grow hair all over their bodies. Yep, that's called hypertrichosis. It's an actual genetic thing that happens. So it's
like
usually
all over your face.
Happens with families. Yeah, your face is covered with hair. Your hands, your arms, your whole body, your legs, your feet, everything has hair on it. People could have had rabies and they thought it was wolf. They were a wolf because of the way they were acting.
Right.
Hallucinations that were caused by food or toxins accidentally or intentionally ingested. Food poisoning, psychological disorders. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have plagued people that back then people were like, they're not acting normal, they must be a werewolf. Because that's exactly what you do. If you see someone acting strange, they have to be a werewolf. There's no other explanation for it, right?
The same thing for witches. Like, if someone did something you didn't like, you'd accuse them of it. They did the same thing. Like, we'll figure out a way to accuse this person because they pissed us off. Like, or we want their land.
Or I don't like them, they're weird. They must be a witch or a werewolf.
Right.
You know, it's all ridiculousness. Especially like knowing what we know now, looking back, it's like, are these people, they're all high. Like that woman did not fly around on a broomstick. You know what I mean?
Well, think about during the Satanic Panic episode, and we talked about McCarter, whatever, the preschool, and the child said that the teacher was flying around on a broomstick.
I know, that was the 80s.
That was in the 80s. So, yeah.
It's insane.
So people are stupid.
And they got convicted.
Yeah.
With no evidence. It's it's like, where are we living in medieval Europe right now? That's like what you want to think. Like, this is not medieval Europe where people believed in witches and werewolves.
People do not like things they don't understand, and they don't want to try to learn about it, so they just try to villainize it or make it evil or whatever. They do it now. They just do it different ways. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. Stupid.
So
we're seeing it right now.
Oh,
in the government against the TikTok you shared with me with Alabama and the freaking anti-trans legislation that they're passing for children. Oh, you're not allowed to. If your children says they're trans, then you can't do anything about it legally because our state says you can't. And like, it's infuriating. It's like, no. Well, if a woman can take her young daughter or a man to a plastic surgeon to get their teeth whitened and plastic surgery for beauty pageants when they're 5 and 6 years old, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's the thing.
Not that that happens all the time, but it does happen.
Well, they're not listening to. I loved it because it was a Jon Stewart clip that I shared with Margaret, and he talked about, well, if your child had cancer, would you follow the American Health Association? And she said, well, yes. Well, why won't? They're the ones saying that doing these things for trans children actually benefit the child and have a more quality of life and less suicide and less depression. How come you won't believe it then, but you would for something else? Like, how? Like, because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not real or it's not normal or it's not okay. Just because you don't know that feeling.
It's more that they don't. They're using religion. It's all religion. It's their religion says that that's evil and it's against God. Well, guess what? I'm not part of your religion. Why should I have to follow your rules?
Exactly. And that's
from your religion when I don't believe that.
If we think back, Satanic Panic, witch trials, this werewolf, it all stemmed from religion too. Because people hide behind religion and they use it to justify everything or spread hate or whatever. Not everyone that is religious does that, but there's a lot of people who are out there spreading hate that hide behind their religion tells them that to try to have rights behind it, and it's ignorant and it infuriates me.
Me too. I was watching that video and I wanted to reach to the screen and shake this woman's stupid blonde head until it like fell off her body. I was just like, are you an idiot? What the hell's wrong with you?
Exactly.
But it's like you're telling them what they can do with their lives. Like, if you have the right to own as many guns as you want that could affect me in my life, then why, like, if my kid thinks that they're supposed to be a girl or a boy and I want to allow them to live the life the way they feel they should. To.
Yeah.
Then it's none of their damn business.
And the thing that kills me about all of it is like,
and it doesn't affect them.
Exactly. It has no effect on you if I transition to be a man or if I'm a man transition. It has no effect on anyone else's life. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt anyone in your family. It has no effect. All it does is make the quality of my life better because this is what I want. And that's all people want. Like, why do we care so much about that?
It's these toxic old men with their toxic masculinity are afraid that they're going to fall in love with a woman who used to be a man. And that's like really what this fear is. How dare they trick me into loving them when they're not even a female? That's the mentality behind this all. Ignorant. That's really the root of the cause here. Is they're so afraid of their own sexuality.
Yeah.
Right. Like, who gives a shit?
I've been watching, and I know you haven't seen it yet, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away in it, but the Interview the Vampire. And I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything for it, but there's a brothel in it, and the people that frequent the brothel the most were the white men making laws, and they're the ones that made it so the brothel couldn't be where it was, but they were the ones frequenting it more than anyone else, utilizing it and breaking the laws, but it's all to advance themselves, even though they're in being hypocrites and everything else. So that's just how it is now. It's like, you know what I mean? Like that woman in that video, like something's going to benefit for her. That's why she's attacking someone else. Like whatever, you're getting something from it because you don't just do that to protect the children. That's not what their goal is.
Well, she's getting the pat on the back from the rest of the people in her political party. Oh, good job. You're doing so good. You're going to get reelected.
Kind of advancement. Yeah, it's all for that. It's nothing to do with saving the children. It's all for their own benefit.
She's the attorney general, too, of Alabama, right? That woman.
I don't remember. Probably. She's stupid.
No, we should put a link to that interview.
I will.
And make other people angry too, because it's just infuriating. You're watching it, and it's like he's making you sound like an idiot. What you're saying, and then he's turning it back to you and showing you what you're saying doesn't make sense. And then you're saying, "Well, no, you're not." Like he just showed you you're stupid.
Yeah.
You need to see that you're stupid, and she does, and she doesn't. Oh no, that's different. No, it's not. It's the same thing.
It's terrible. No, you'll get mad because I was furious. That's how I woke up this morning. I was like, oh my God, I'm so angry at this lady.
I was furious.
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm furious and that woman's stupid.
She is. I'm really excited because this Wednesday we're doing our special interview for our Halloween episode. But we're not going to tell you what it is yet.
We're excited.
I just let you know that an interview is involved. So we have a special Halloween episode coming up. This spooky month, has been uneventful, I feel like, for me. And I feel bad that we missed a whole week of it. But, I had to focus on helping my family. But I think this interview is going to be really cool. And I'm excited for it. So, yay. And you want to make sure that you're following us because we're going to be, we share pictures from every episode on our Facebook and Instagram. So make sure you're on there to see those things. And we also, our episodes when they post, share on there too. So if you can share our episodes with your friends, that helps us out so much. It gets us out there to the world, and that's what we want. Because the more people that see it, the more they can listen. And we love that people actually enjoy this as much as we do. And
yes.
So happy.
Yeah, let us know. We really like when people comment and just to say like, oh, I've been listening. I really like your podcast. That just makes us feel like what we're doing is worth it. Like we like doing it with each other, but it is. We're both really busy people, and we have a lot going on, and it's just nice to know that taking time away to research and other things for this podcast isn't like it's for a good. In the end, it's all for good.
Like
so just like reach out, let us know.
Going out of their way to listen to our episodes, like binging in them, is like the most flattering thing I've ever felt. Like it's like, oh, thank you for, and like to know that people like what we like. We're not just a couple weirdos, even though we are weirdo. You know what I mean? Like it's cool that there's other people out there like us. Yeah, I love that. We're finding our people. So if you ever have ideas for episodes, you should email us and let us know what those are.
Definitely. And you should email us or send an email to thecousinsweird@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us through Messenger. You can direct message us through Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah. We get right back to you. And we love your support. And if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/thecousinsweird. And for $1 a month to become a freaky friend with us, and you get a free sticker and bonus episodes. And for $5 a month to become a terrible trender, which, you know, super cool. And you get the same as a freaky friend, but you additionally get ad-free episodes, a yearly gift, and then a monthly chat with other Patreons and us. And, you know, we're just random and weird, so, you know, it'll be fun. I think that's it.
Yeah, stay freaky.
Stay freaky.
Bye. Bye.